Welcome to Wisdom on Wednesdays. I'm Christy Wilson, and today I'm here with Monica Scantlen. She's a longtime member of our Veritas community, a beloved member of our Veritas community. Hi, Monica.
Hey, Christy, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. It's been a good week.
Good. So we are here to plumb the depths of your wisdom and experience and ask you to kind of give us all some pointers. Tell us how you've managed to navigate sort of doing Veritas as a family. You're a working mom, particularly, and you guys are very active in your church. We happen to go to the same church as you and your family, and so I see you frequently serving in your church. I see you frequently serving at Veritas. I know you're also a working mom, so I just wanted to ask you to share your tips on how you do all this.
Absolutely. So I want to start by saying this is all we've ever known. So this is our 9th year. And you know, Christy, is that we had to real then what it might look like for everyone else. So when I first started at Veritas, I would sometimes get anxious when I would hear, the other families doing this are finishing up homeschooling, going off for play dates and doing these wonderful things. And that didn't work for us because I would finish our home days and then I went to work. And so I had to very early on get comfortable with our way of doing this wasn't going to look like everyone else's. And that's okay. That's part of why we love this model and the beauty in it. We can customize how this needs to look for us. And I even love that this model lets you customize where you're going to be doing your schooling. It may look like in a beautifully set up classroom. It might look like your kids sitting next to you at your desk in your office. And so that's the first thing is we realized the Scantlen way of doing it might not look like everyone else's, and being okay with that, being at peace with that. And also realizing that if we feel like God called us to this, then he was going to call it to look unique for us. Something that we did from the get-go, Christy, is that we as a family created a schedule that included school time and work time, because for all of our sanity, we all needed to know how this was going to look. So for my kids, they understood, here's the time we've got mom, and we need to get it done because then she's being paid. And so it's lent to great conversations about work ethics and being a person of your word. So if my work is expecting me at a certain time, I have to show good work ethic and be a person of my word and show up on time. And so it just set expectations for everyone to kind of know that what that was going to look like. Now, life happens. There are days that I will get called into a meeting at what would be a normal kind of school time that we've allotted. And over the years, we've all learned flexibility with that. I used to go, oh, girls, I need to hop out, take this call, and I'll be back. And after a couple times of me doing that, they said, could you take it in here? Because we want to hear what you're doing. And the first time I did that, I still remember my oldest, their eyes were this wide going, did you make up those words or do you really know what you're talking about? Because it was these technical engineering terms. And so it was just kind of a great learning for them to go, this is what you're doing when you're not teaching us or, cooking dinner or, running errands with us. So we've learned how to make that work. And it's something that we do, Christy, that we've done for years is during Sunday night dinner, we do a quick family review our upcoming week calendar. So if there is anything that's going to throw a wrench into the schedule, maybe one of the girls has a special project, or I know my work schedule is going to be a little off. We talk about that. There's no surprises, and we figure out as a family how we're going to make that week look. So that's kind of how we've dealt with the scheduling. Another thing that's been important to us is that, especially for the parent that is kind of taking the lead on the co-teaching, is you got to know your limits and just understand that sometimes good enough is good enough. And we get everything done that we need to in our week with regards to work obligations and school obligations. But I had to tell my girls very early on, if it says optional, hey, guess what? Probably not going to get to it. And they had to be okay with that. And I had to explain to them, hey, your teachers are okay with that. Your teachers get that every family at this school looks different, and some are working parents, some have more time. And so they had to understand that we may not get to those optionals. That is totally fine, but everything else will get done. And along those lines, Christy, I even had to learn, being a little bit of a type A personality, when I need to call for some help and some backup. There are days that my husband will walk in the door and I will say, hey, I need to finish up some deliverables for work. We've got a project we're still working on, and we will tag team. And he'll say, go, do your thing. I'm going to jump in and finish what we need to do. And again, that really comes down to, we approach this family. It's not just the person that's taking the lead that kind of bears all of that. And that would kind of, Christy, be my fourth point, is we do see this as a family endeavor. We very early on, when we chose this model, had conversations with our children of, if we're going to make this work, y'all are going to be sharing our time. And so I think that's a good thing. Like, they get, it's not all about them. Like, we all have different goals that we're having to meet, and their schooling, their home days are a big part of that, but they've got to be flexible as well. And so they've had to learn that. And, you know, for them sharing their time, it's also helped with them on their own school work ethic. So they know that if we don't get to it and we don't start on our schedule at our scheduled time, or if there's some pushback or they're having an off day, then they're going to have to wait till I finished work to get back on my calendar to wrap up anything that they didn't get done. And as parents, Alan and I have always seen this as a partnership, because we are both working. While he works more hours than I do, you know, he understands it's a lot to, you know, have one person only take the lead. And so we really do see this as a family endeavor. And probably the last thing I would say, Christy, is you've got to understand you're going to have crazy days, but you've got to find the joy in this and have some fun. You know, there had been days where school's been a lot, work, it's been back-to-back meetings, and my girls now know if I say get in the car, we all need a break. They don't even ask, because they're like, where is this crazy woman going to take us? And we'll do a Sonic run or a Starbucks run, or, you know, we're something special from somewhere that they love. Like, we figured out how to have fun in this and also loosen up over the years. So yesterday I had a very busy work afternoon, but my 8th grader just said, can we like hang out together? Well, who's going to say no to their 8th grader? So we sat up next to each other. I had my laptop and I worked, and she sat next to me and did her homework. And, you know, we would have conversations. She would hear what I was doing at work and sometimes ask questions, but we were just together. And so we've learned just to find the joy and have fun. And it doesn't always have to feel like this burden of school and work. Sometimes there's beauty in letting those two kind of overlap. And it's helped me enjoy this, and it's helped my kids enjoy it a lot more as well.
Monica, this is all so great. I really, really appreciate what you said. I want to ask you, I took lots of notes. Just for the viewers, you and I didn't do very much prep at all before this interview. So, you know, I think you and I chatted for all of maybe 1 minute. And so this is as new and rich for me as it is for everybody listening. So I've taken a ton of notes for myself, and I want to ask you to put your 5 points up on Facebook for us if you are willing to do
Absolutely.
that. I wrote them down.
Absolutely.
The things that stood out to me are when you first started, you said not to compare. And one of my favorite quotes is comparison is the thief of joy. I think that it is, I often attribute it to Eleanor Roosevelt. I actually think it might have come from Theodore Roosevelt. In any case, comparison is the thief of joy. And in this model, maybe more than most, we cannot compare ourselves to
So
other
true.
moms or other families. We've got to figure out how to make it succeed for ourselves. And while I think it behooves us to gather freely from other people and figure out what they do and implement that, we just can't compare that. And then I wrote several other things that you said about scheduling and structuring and setting boundaries. um, I love the choose joy. I was working very hard on a project at the end of last year when I was helping with trying to have graduation out here. And we were working some long, hot days. And a friend of
Mhm.
mine put a little wooden heart in my car one day that said, choose joy. And I've kept it in my car ever since. And so that phrase means something to me now that it used to be just a little catchphrase, but it really is a choice. I liked that you said that a lot. Um, and then I really like your emphasis on how you have done this as a family, that it is a family effort. So with that, I will close, and I'm so grateful for your time.
Oh,
And if
thank
you'll put your
you.
5 tips up, we would love to chat with you more, because I know we could talk for a long time, but I don't want to take any more of your time. And I think
I
I'm
sure
appearing
will.
on screen as Ellen Schutnicht. I'm not Ellen Schutnicht. She's got a school tour that she's leading, so I'm standing in for her. I'm Christy Wilson.
Oh,
But
good.
anyway, Monica, thank you so much, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Christy.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.